Oh, good day, beloved. One of the things I think about when I read the Gospels is how often Jesus is put into difficult situations. Hard choices have to be made. He is challenged all the time by people who love him too much or love him not enough or who lie about him or to him. And every time he comes to a crossroads and Jesus makes the right choice. And that is, I think, why we say that Jesus was without sin, because at every opportunity when a choice is made, he makes the right choice. Now, I do not have that ability. I am trying to get better. I am seeking to get better. I am examining my actions, but I am not there yet. And I've been thinking about rebuke. And as I've been watching the news this week, I've been wanting to do some rebuking. Rebuking is a word that we don't use a lot. When it's used in translation in the Greek, it usually means to make right something that is wrong. And when we rebuke somebody, it's usually some sort of sharp command to stop the action right now. Get out of traffic. That's an alive electrical wire. Stop it. That's a rebuke. And Jesus, not infrequently, rebukes in the Gospels. He rebukes unclean spirits and demons. He rebukes the wind and the water. He rebukes the Pharisees. And he rebukes the disciples. Now, Jesus can rebuke, I need training wheels. I need more than that, because if all I do is rebuke, all I'm doing is showing my anger, and it may stop the behavior for that moment, but if I want the behavior to extinguish long term, I need more than that. Thankfully, Paul has something to say on it. In a letter to a mentee that he had, whose name was Timothy, a young man that learns from Paul. And Paul writes in two really personal letters that you might write to your aunt or your uncle, personal letters. And they have found their way into the New Testament, these one-on-one letters. And in chapter 4 of 2 Timothy, Paul has a counsel. And he starts it by being very serious to begin with, which is an indication that Timothy, now listen up here, buddy. He says, I charge thee therefore before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Listen up now, Timothy. He says, Timothy, quote, preach the word. Now, what exactly is that word? That's a lot to take in, but part of that word is announced in John 1, in the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and that Word is love. Paul goes on to say, be instant in season, or out of season, do these three things. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all the long suffering and doctrine. That means be patient about it. Be willing to go back to it again and again. For the time will come, he says, when they will not endure sound doctrine. He's talking about later on when Timothy is a leader. He's saying there will be people who forget what the word is, how we are supposed to behave as Christians. And you'll have to remind them by reproving, by rebuking, and by exhorting, because the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and shall be turned into fables. Now that really made me think about recent current events. And I'm thinking of Alex Jones's trial. Alex Jones, as you may know, is the founder and narrator and leader of a place called InfoWars on the World Wide Web. And he was recently rebuked by a court to the tune of $965 million for lies that he told about the Sandy Hook families. For adding to their pain and their loss. He claimed that they were only acting, that their pain and their loss wasn't real. And the court this week rebuked Alex Jones to the tune of $965 million. And he heard the verdict and said, well, that's too bad. I wish it was $1 billion. So it appears that Alex is not repentant for what he did. He's been rebuked, but he hasn't gotten it yet. And he also claims that InfoWars is a Christian self-help platform. And he says, I quote, now I mainly talk about philosophy and the big picture, and the show's gotten more Christian because I'm a Christian. Okay, well, if you are a Christian, then we should hold you to account. We should expect Christian behavior. And Christian behavior does not include lying and causing pain to families who've suffered enough. So I can rebuke him, but apparently rebuke alone will not do the trick. And so Paul's adding of reproving and exhorting does more. So let me give you an example. Let us say that we're at a dinner table, we're Thanksgiving, and we have a young person or an old person, anybody who's got their phone out and they're on their social media platform, and you say, you know what, could you put your phone away at the table? It's Thanksgiving, we're about to have dinner together. And so the person puts it away, and you go on, but they pull it out again, and you say, stop, we do not have cell phones at the table, especially at Thanksgiving. You rebuke that person. To reprove is to tell them why. We do this because we want to be in community with one another. We want to have this time together. We want to share this time. The World Wide Web will be ever there. Let's spend this hour together in community.
And that's exhorting.
That's exhorting. Thank you, Linda. That's appealing to who you are, who you really are. Not the fearful thing you think you are, but the thing that you really are. And then I think of something that Jesus did in response to the disciples' action. They're on their way to Jerusalem. And Jesus says, go on ahead and see if that town up ahead will put us up for the night. And James and John go there, and they come back and they say, they won't put us up because they're Samaritans. They're not part of our tribe, so they won't put us up. Hey, what about this, Jesus? How about burning the town to the ground? How about that? And Jesus turns to them and rebukes them and says, no, you do not know what manner of spirit you are. Jesus is reminding us that we are built for something bigger, something more loving, something more uplifting. So as we go into our next week, let's go into it with that idea, to exhort others, to appeal to the better angels of their nature. God bless.